Welcome to the Farmish Kind of Life podcast, where we talk about homesteading stuff and life stuff and everything in between. Join me, Amy Dingman, as we explore big questions on a little farm. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Farmish Kind of Life podcast, where we talk about life and how to live a good one. Today is November 12th. This is episode 298. I am Amy Dingman. I'm sitting here in my office at Clucky Dickens Farm in central Minnesota, and I am so glad you are here today. What are we going to talk about today on the Farmish Kind of Life podcast? Well, today I'm going to toss some thoughts to you about a different way to frame what you're doing. And this may speak to you. It may totally not speak to you, but it's what has been on my mind this week, so perhaps it will be helpful or inspiring to some of you. Today we're going to talk about how we all make choices about how to live, and sometimes what some folks think we are doing or the choices we are making, they think it's all about us following the rules, but in all reality, the choices we're making when you dig into it is actually about rebelling against something, and I'm going to talk about why that matters. That's what we're talking about today. But before we get to that, what's been happening on the Lifestead? Well, if you're watching on YouTube, this is obviously not a video podcast. I have decided that video podcasts need to wait until after the new year starts because we're going to have a schedule change in our family. My husband is switching from a million years of working nights to working days. And that shift is going to change some things about our household. And it's actually going to make it easier for me to record video podcasts during the day at a time when there's actually light in my office. I do not have a good lighting setup in my office because of how my desk is and where my windows are and the options I have for like setting up different lights. And that was just a very obvious little thing that I missed when I thought, hey, I'll just record my podcast as videos. So that is something that is going to wait until 2025. Sometime January 2025, we will try the video podcast out. So that's the update on that. What else? My guys are hunting right now. My husband and my oldest son, they're way up north doing the deer hunting thing. They are gone for a week and everybody's like, oh, deer hunting, widow's weekend. What wild thing are you going to do? Because apparently wives get wild when their husbands go away. I don't know. They go out to all these, there's, like specials at the bars, or there's a gazillion craft fairs where they go and spend a ton of money. What's the wild thing that you're going to do? I'm going to tell you the wild thing that I decided to do. I decided that I was going to make liver and onions for supper one night because nobody else in my house likes liver and onions, and I have been craving liver and onions forever. And not that I can't make it when other people are here, but it just seemed like a really good excuse to make it when it was just me. And so I made it, and so delicious. I love liver and onions. I know this is a topic that's kind of divides people, right? You either like liver and onions or you don't. Now here's the other thing. I had some leftover liver and onions, right? Because I made a whole 1 pound package of liver, and I couldn't eat 1 pound of liver by myself in one sitting. So I obviously had leftovers. So the next couple mornings, I had liver and onions with an egg on top. You guys, it was delicious. And I can't tell you how many people said, okay, when I posted about this, they said, okay, I like liver and onions, but I cannot wrap my head around putting an egg on top of it, an over easy egg. What are you doing? Y'all, you should try it. If you like liver and onions and you like eggs, you should try it. I dare you. It's delicious. I've also been having a few steaks while the guys are gone. They're eating well where they are, so why wouldn't I eat well while they're gone? So I'm going to tell you how I've come to be making these steaks. All right, so you take a steak, a good cut of steak, and what I've been doing is I take some rosemary leaves, chop them up real fine, some garlic, chop it up real fine, and then I take some coarse salt. And I rub all that together, okay? So it's all like gushed up together. And then I take my steak, make sure it's dried off real well. I brush it with olive oil. And I rub that salt on one side. And then after I get it in the pan, I'm going to rub it on the other. But okay, so I rub it on one side. I put some butter in my cast iron pan. And then I get it real hot because I'm going to sear this steak, right? And I put the steak in the pan with the rosemary, salt, garlic side down, right? I get a really good char on it. I cook it for sear it for about a minute. While it's searing, I put the rosemary, salt, garlic on the other side, right, with a little bit of olive oil. Brush it on there. And then I flip it. I sear it on the other side for a minute, right? Get a good crust on it. And then I take that cast iron pan and I put it in my oven at 350 for about 8 minutes. This is going to depend how thick your steak is and how you like it done. I like mine medium rare. So 8 minutes seems to be good. When you take it out of the oven, you are then going to transfer that steak to a platter of some sort or a plate of some sort. You are going to put a pat of butter on it, tablespoon pat of butter, and you are going to cover that. You can tent it, make a little tent with foil or whatever it is that you use, and you're going to let it sit for about 7-10 minutes. That butter is going to melt on there. It's going to be the most amazing steak. Y'all, I eat like a queen here all the time. I love my life. That's delicious. So if you've never made a steak like that, do it. I'm not steering you wrong. It's great. All right. The only other thing that I need to update you on is once again the Farmish papers. If you have not gone over and checked out the changes that are coming to my snail mail newsletter in January of 2025, go do that. I will stick a link in the show notes. Otherwise, just go to my website, afarmishkindoflife.com. Look in the menu. You will find snail mail newsletters and you will find out all the information there. It is moving from a monthly newsletter to a newsletter that is 3 different quarterly newsletters that all focus on different topics. So head over there, get your name on an interest list, because that is the only way that I'm going to be sending out subscription stuff. If you're on that list or you already currently subscribe to it, that's how I'm going to figure out what's going on. So get your name on those lists so I don't miss you. All right, with that, we're going to head over to the main topic and talk about the choices we make and how some of those are actually a rebellion. I've been thinking about this lately, about how words are important, and sometimes you just need the right word to describe what you're doing. I've been watching, always watching what's going on, but especially since the election and everything that happened with that, I've just been watching what's happening, and it occurred to me that sometimes the choices that we make when we decide to go against the mainstream on something, what we're actually doing is rebelling, okay? And here's what I mean by that. What if your choice to stay home and raise a family is actually a rebellion? What if your choice to make babies and make dinner and make a home is actually a rebellion? What if your choice to not eat a bunch of crap food that you can't even call food, it's more like food-like products, what if that isn't about being a health nut? What if it's actually about a rebellion against the current system? What if your choice to be comfortable with what you have, which some people maybe tell you doesn't seem like enough, what if your choice to be comfortable with what you have doesn't mean that you've given up? What if it's actually a rebellion? What if your choice to not buy everything new and maybe just say, hey, I don't need that, even though you totally have enough money to buy it, what if that's actually a rebellion? What if a few things or a lot of things you're doing is because you're looking at the world and saying, I don't want what they want? That's a rebellion. Now, I try to keep different perspectives and worldviews in my social media accounts because I don't want everything I'm seeing to be lopsided. I don't want to live in an echo chamber. And I am interested in what other people think because it either challenges what I think, which is really good, or it solidifies what I think. I think you understand more about why you believe what you believe and why you live the way you live when you're still seeing people who don't believe like you or live like you. And here's something interesting that I have been considering. What if the mainstream isn't the mainstream. Like, we think of the mainstream as the majority, right? The majority of people, that's why it's the mainstream. What if the mainstream isn't actually the majority, but it's just what whoever is in control of the media is pushing? Like, what if the actual majority is just the common folk and we don't even realize that because of what's being pushed in the media? That's something to think about, right? Now, if you're on TikTok, and I know everybody's TikTok looks different because it's just all what shows up for you, what the algorithm decides they think that you want to see. But there is a lot of crazy going on right now between the ultra feminists and what they're calling the trad wives now, traditional wives. And the thing that always floors me when I see these arguments back and forth is, who would have ever thought that choosing to stay home would actually be rebelling against the system? Who would have ever thought that? And here's like a history reminder. You probably all know this, but in case you don't, feminism, the whole concept of feminism, was originally women being able to make a choice about what they want to do, right? That's kind of feminism, right? I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to go work. I want to be able to drive a car. I want to be able to do all this stuff, right? I want to live my life. I don't want to be told I can't do this because I'm a woman, right? It was never supposed to be men suck and women rule the world. And then having that put up alongside women who work aren't fulfilling their true purpose. Y'all, stop with that. But honestly, when women were fighting for all their rights back in the day, you know, like when they actually didn't have many or any, who would have ever thought that one day in the future, women choosing to stay home would have been seen as a rebellion against the masses? And I get that there are a bunch of women out there who want to stay home, who are trying to stay home, who are not in a financial position right now to do so. And that's a whole nother part of this conversation that we are not going to get into today. Today, I just wanted to bring up the rebellion piece that has to do with where you want to be. And I also absolutely realize that in some families, a girl deciding she wants to grow up and be a girl boss of a huge company and not stay home to raise a family is just as much of a rebellion in her family and her community. So yeah, I realize all that, okay? Moving on. Unless you've been under a rock, the food and health system has been in the forefront of the media and the social chit-chat with Trump being elected and RFK poised to take this major role in the food and health systems and all the proposed changes and ideas that are flying around. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see what actually comes of all of that. Having said that, one of the things that I've gotten really, really interested in studying is food history, meaning the history of what we've consumed in the past, like 100 years, 150-ish years, and pairing that with also some health history, as in looking at how what we eat correlates to changes in our health over the same amount of time. And it has been so interesting and entertaining and also frustrating. It's been like this rabbit hole to go down. But I will tell you this much. In my humble opinion, if you are not feeling the need to rebel against what's going on with the mainstream narrative about diet and health in this country, you are not paying attention. You're just not. And why am I bringing this up? Why am I wording it like rebellion? You know, why that word? Because sometimes you need a little fire behind what you're doing. You need a little inspiration. And I think that for some of us, the thought that we are rebelling against whatever is somehow inspiring. Like, if I'm walking up this hill, you know, this really tough hill, because I'm supposed to walk up this really tough hill, that's one thing. But if I'm walking up this really tough hill because some big man on TV who weighs 8,600 pounds is talking to a population that also weighs 8,600 pounds. He's telling them that it's okay if you're 8,600 pounds, just take this pink and yellow polka dotted pill and you'll be fine. And And I'm looking at that thinking, the math on this doesn't math. Something's wrong. And I decide I'm going to walk up that hill to go against what the big man on TV is saying. That's a totally different feeling, isn't it? It is for me. And maybe rebellion is what puts a fire behind it. Maybe rebellion is what entices you to dig deeper. And maybe rebellion is what keeps you going when you are tempted to fall into a mindset or a habit that does not serve you or your life. And here's the thing, rebellion sometimes goes against what your own community is saying. You should never turn off your brain, y'all. Blindly following any community or any set of beliefs is dangerous, and it is cult-like. You should be able to take in information and figure out what makes sense to you, what doesn't make sense to you, and what things you still need to think about and figure out. You should be able to take a step back and look at the big picture and see if things actually line up. Because there's a lot of stuff that happens in groupthink that doesn't line up. Like, for instance, oh my word, everyone should be able to carry. That's our right. People will get maniacal about this topic, right? Yeah, sure. Okay. I have my permit to carry. I've had it for years. But I can also think of 5 people right now, just off the top of my head, that I know personally that if they were in a stressful situation, I would want to be nowhere around them if they were carrying. That makes me a rebel in that particular community. And that's okay. Don't turn off your brain, y'all. Make conscious decisions in your life. Know why you are doing what you're doing. When you make a choice, what are you rebelling against? What is the flip side of the choice you made? What are you saying no to with your choice? Because everything you say yes to is a no to something else, right? What are you saying no to when you choose what you choose? I almost think this is why so many people like post-apocalyptic movies or like survival movies or novels, because it's about beating the odds and making it through and being resilient in some cases because they made a conscious choice to go against something, whatever it was. And I think at the heart of it, all those folks who make it through are rebels. They refuse to do something, even if it was just refusing to give up. And that's kind of rebellious, isn't it? I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep at it. I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep doing the thing. Oh my word, what a rebel. When you look at your life, what is it a testament to? What do the choices you are making say about who you are and what's important to you? What are you rebelling against by choosing to live the way you do? And not that our entire existence should turn into some like crabby get off my lawn type thing. Rebelling and saying no to something doesn't mean that you become some like angry, diabolical cartoon character. I tend to think that choosing to live the way you live and not being loud about it is way more powerful and way more respected than shoving it in people's faces and forcing them to have an opinion about it. That's just my 2 cents about it. So I don't know. What do you think? Does thinking about your life as a rebellion inspire you? Does thinking about yourself as a nonconformist or a revolutionary help you to make choices, or does it throw everything off? Does that line of thinking work for you or not? I would love to know your thoughts. You can drop me a line at amy@afarmishkindoflife.com, or you can find me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Discord, or Telegram. You can find links to those in my show notes. Also, make sure you head to the website of farmishkindoflife.com. Look in the menu tab for snail mail newsletter and get yourself signed up for the new 2025 setup for what's going on over there. Thank you so much for spending time with me again today. I know I say this all the time, but I mean it. There are a billion podcasts out there that you could listen to, and you keep coming back here to spend 20-ish minutes with me every week, and I so appreciate that. Have a great week, you guys, and I will talk to you again soon. Hope you enjoyed the show today. To continue the conversation, visit our website at afarmishkindoflife.com, find A Farmish Kind of Life on social media, or drop me an email at amy@afarmishkindoflife.com. Peace, love, and bacon, y'all. Stay Farmish.